Hello, you lovely people, and welcome to episode 4 of I Am the Hammer, the video series in which I chronicle my journey as a Grey Knight main. Today, we are talking all things team tournament as I recently played at the International Team Tournament in Birmingham. It's going to be a good one. Let's get going. So, full disclosure, this is actually the second time I have filmed this. I did film it on the Monday at like 10 p.m. and I sounded so bored and so tired, and it was also over an hour long. So keen to avoid that this time. We're gonna have another go. Let's see if we can get it right. So in this episode, I'm going to be going through all my matches, how they went, looking at it from the perspective of the Grey Knights and kind of managing those particular matchups. And then obviously I'm going to debrief afterwards, talk through my list. What do I think of it? Are there any changes I'd make, etc. I will be able to have a more updated matrix now, of course. And finally, looking forward to the singles meta, like what sort of things might we have to consider. So that is the plan. So just a reminder of my list. I took a brother captain with Sigil. He was with 10 paladins. I had Crow with 10 purifiers. And had 5 terminators on their own for OC goodness. 2 units of 5 strikes, 1 unit of 5 interceptors, and 1 unit of 5 purgation marines. And then finally 2 dread knights. The idea behind this list, I obviously spoke a lot more in detail in the previous episode, but the idea being I can kind of take on most things. I do have some killing power. It's not pure mission play, but I can kind of take on anyone. I can be bust, so to speak, and hopefully cause any opponent some issues. Our team going in had high hopes. We came fourth at the previous one. We wanted to do well this time. And we had Green Tide, we had Wolf Jail, we had CSM, and we had Canoptech Court as our 4 other armies. So we felt we had a well-rounded, good 5 going in. So round 1, pairings went pretty well, and I got put into Bully Boys. I'd never played Bully Boys before. I had no real idea, apart from the fact that they're really hard to kill when they're in the war. So I gave myself a target of drawish, so like a 10-10 was kind of the goal. The mission was Dawn of War, Scorched Earth, and it was a medium board. His list was a pretty standard Bully Boy list, one you kind of saw across the weekend from various teams. It had Gaz with 3 units of Mega Knobs, some Storm Boys, all of it was in trucks, a variety of boys. There were Beast Snagger boys as well as normal boys, and then finally some Gretchen. So, how did it play out? Well, I didn't quite get deployment right. I actually didn't position my Dread Knights in such a way that if I went first, I could put 2 Dread Knights into 1 truck, which was my mistake. It did actually end up working out because turn 2, I drew Bring It Down and I had 2 injured trucks to kill. But in hindsight, it wasn't realistically the best thing. I should have positioned my Dread Knights so they could both could hit 1 truck 24 inches away. I didn't do that. So I did go first. And I was a bit concerned about primary. Scorched Earth, Dawn of War can definitely cause those issues. So therefore, interceptors flew up the left-hand objective, and 5 strikes and 5 terminators went over on the right-hand objective to really lock that one down. I did move purifiers. If you look on the left-hand side where that 6 is, I put my purifiers and Crow there, so that if he wanted to move his Gretchen out, to try and get onto that objective, because that was the only thing that could reach it, I'd be able to overwatch them. So that was the kind of the play there. He hadn't called a war, and he just kind of came forward. He tried to pressure my right-hand objective to try and cleanse, but it didn't really work. He fired 5 Storm Boys into my strikes. I don't know if he killed any. He might have killed 1 through Armor of Contempt, but then I killed them all on the hit back. And so I felt pretty good. And then it was a matter of, right, now I want to focus on killing the chaff, like the mission playing stuff. Because if you can leave them with just the 3 units of Mega Knobs, then it means they're going to struggle to be scoring their cards and that sort of thing. So that was my goal. So I 3-inch deep struck purifiers in his back lines where they could see both the grots on his home field and the boys in the big L. And I kind of just put my paladins on the far right hand side where they could shoot into a unit of boys which are on that objective. And kind of was like, cool, right, we're gonna do a little bit of move blocking as well. And kind of was like, right, let's go deal with this. At which point the purifiers rolled 4 ones with their flamers. So that meant the grots did not die alongside with the storm bolters that went into them. But I did kill nearly all of the boys, and then overwatched them to death on the next turn. But yeah, this game kind of eventually the Meganobs got to the middle. I put some shots into them. Arm of Contempt, cover, and that Feel No Pain means I just don't scratch the surface really. Unfortunately, we only got to turn 4. It's a really thought-intensive game, and I don't think we set our clocks quite right. So we only got to turn 4, and it finished 11-9 to me. If we play turn 5, I think it finishes 11-9 to him. Yeah, a drawish, shall we say, which was kind of what I was hoping for. Orcs always have the power to run over people and get big wins. So it was very important that I didn't allow that to happen. So I was really happy with that result. And the rest of the team did really well. All of us won our games. We won like 72-28, I think, as a team. So very happy with that start. So round 2, and I got the role that I thought I might well have, which is you go play on the light board against something nasty and just score points. So I got to play CSM with lots of tanks, legionnaires with characters, warp talons, all that sort of stuff. And it was on Purge the Foe, which, can create some interesting dynamics. And I set myself a target of a 10-10 again. I'd played once into CSM before, and it had been a 10-10, so I figured I could do something similar. The issue here being that it was a light board. So that did mean I was going to get shot quite a bit more than usual. So the issue with the light board is, as you can see, my natural expansion objective, which is in the top corner, it's really hard to hide there. Unfortunately, I went first, which is never ideal on Purge the Foe. So I kind of sent 5 strikes over there just to go and try and lock it down. He was able to get a few shots in from one predator, but didn't kill it. And we had this really rubbish turn 2, where he'd had to go and put 5 warp talons on his bottom right-hand objective. And I was like, right, okay, purifiers drop down. They're going to shoot, kill them. Strikes are going to charge in and kill the warp talons in that middle L, and then they're going to tag into a rhino which was there. And then I was also going to fire and fade 5 interceptors onto his natural expansion objective on the right hand side to get Storm Hostile. I'd get overwhelming force, Storm Hostile, I'd kill a thing, and we'd all be okay. What actually happened was the Purifiers somehow did not kill 5 Warp Talons. The Strikes did not kill the Warp Talons in the middle, so I didn't get to tag that Rhino. I didn't get a kill. I didn't get overwhelming force for killing a unit on an objective, and I was very sad. And that kind of meant that the game, I was always slightly behind on the game. We had this interesting moment where I think it was probably turn 3. He went, right, I'm going to move 5 Legionnaires and a Lord over to your Paladins, who I deep struck on my natural expansion objective. Do you want to miss? So I went, no. He then moved another 5 and a Lord. I went, do you want to miss? And I went, no. Now, I probably should have missed it at that point and had these 2 units out wide out in the open. But my belief was that with AOC and -1 to wound, I thought I was going to be pretty safe and I could smack back, and then just that's 2 of his main kind of like combat threats dead. So the first unit charges in and they kill 1 paladin. I'm like, yep, this is exactly what I thought would happen. Then the second unit activates and the Lord kills 5 paladins, which obviously was not ideal. But I was able to kind of just like clean them up, and I ended the game with not many units, and I hadn't really touched the tanks. I don't think he used his Vindicators, right? He had them both in strat reserve with a Hellbrute, but they kind of all got scattered around. One ended up dropping right into his backfield. And I think he said that afterwards he hadn't used them right. But yeah, Luke was like a genuinely delightful opponent, had a great time in that game. And I had a narrow loss. So I lost 79-71, which is a 9-11. As you can see, I lost out on the primary and we drew on secondaries. But as a Grey Knight player, to only score 25 out of 40 on secondaries is not really the one, is it? I think on normal terrain, I don't think the game probably changes that much. Yeah, I think it's just a close matchup, guys. The CSM obviously got a new CSM book coming out. Not sure how that goes, but currently with the old book anyway, it feels drawish. So round 3, we won that round as well. So yeah, we're 2-0 as a team. So round 3, and we draw into a very good team full of players who have been in and around the WTC setup and team, and just played in it even. So very, very good team, and we paired really well. But guess who got the short straw again? So there's me on the light board, playing into Black Templar Iron Storm with all of the tanks and then a few scouts. Ed, who was doing our pairing, said just try and get a 5. So I was like, cool, I'll get a 5. The problem with this was that with priority targets, the hold 1, hold 2, the hold 2 was always going to be an issue, because the tanks just could see its hidden supplies. So we have 4 objectives right across the board, as you can see. But just where do you hold one where you don't get blatted by like 11 different tanks? Like, it's just really hard. So I kind of made it my bed. I was just going to get a 5 because I went first again. It's a massive pain. Just going to get a 5 and move block if I can, and just score all my secondaries. And you know what? I was genuinely really happy with how I played this game. I tried really hard. I always try really hard, but I really had a clear game plan. And turn 2, the Paladin. So I always, on this particular map layer, I always put my Paladin brick in that bottom L in the middle, because that gives you like a good place to like strike out from. And now they shot away into a Vindicator, and he managed to roll 3 1s, which meant he was then able to shoot me back with that stupid stratagem, which was really annoying. And thankfully, he only killed like 1. And then they charged into the Vindicator. I mean, they didn't, because they failed the charge, and they failed the re-roll as well, so that was lovely. But yeah, I kind of it was fine because I had Sigil right, and he ended up triggering mists anyway. This game isn't that exciting because it was kind of, what could he see? He tries to kill. But I hid all the time, and I ended the game with a decent amount of resources. The Purgation Marines had a nice little turn 4 play where they charged the upper middle objective, a Vindicator, through the wall, and then took away that primary, and then didn't die to the shooting, which meant it gave me extra primary. I had a bit of a Hail Mary with the 5 Terminators at the end to try and get onto the bottom right-hand objective with a CP rerolled 9-inch charge, just to try and get more end-of-game scoring for priority targets. Because you know what, although Black Templar's shooting is nasty, at one point I deep struck. Oh, we had this really funny moment. So I've got Assassinate as a card. I think it's turn 3. And I put the Purifiers, because they don't do anything in this game, 3 inches away from his Tech Marine, hidden in that his upper middle L. And he's got 1 CP left. So he's like, right, okay, that's obviously going to be an Arm of Contempt against all the Purifiers, so he's just going to have to make a load of 2-up saves. I've got a Dreadnought on 1 wound at this point, hidden. And I move it out to go and punch up a tank. And he was just like, I hate you so much, because obviously he wanted to Overwatch, but he wanted to save the AOC. And in the end, he decided to Overwatch because he's a greedy son of a bitch. And whiffed and didn't even kill me on the Overwatch. So, and then obviously the Purifiers just picked up the Tech Marine. So that's quite a funny moment. And you know what? He then fired pretty much all of his remaining army, which was most of his tanks, probably like eight tanks or something, into those Purifiers. Arm of Contempt, cover save. He only just killed, I think it was 8, 9. Right. Grey Knights are tough guys. So yeah, really fun game. Mike was genuinely such a pleasure to play. I lost 78-91, so I lost 8-12, which I was really happy with. As you can see, I did pretty well on my secondaries. My issue was the primary, which was always going to be the case. But it is what it is. So we that round we ended up 49-51. Basically, it went really, really well, apart from our Space Wolf player that got 20-0'd by Bully Boys. And because he got 20-0'd by Bully Boys, we did not do very well in the round. So we only got a draw, which was a shame, but we were still undefeated at the end of the day. So round 4, Necrons. Pairings didn't go well here. We didn't get it right. And basically we paired into a bunch of draws. I paired into Necrons, which I'd never played before. It was Canoptic Corp, so 18 race, had 2 Catan. I didn't know how this matchup went at all. I knew I had Purifiers and Paladins who could definitely hurt race. But I did, Necrons score well, and it's quite a drawish mission, this one, because as you can see, it's a hold 1, hold 2. And your natural expansion objective is well hidden, so you just sit there, just score 10s. And unless you have the ability to really put a lot of combat pressure on, it's tough. So this one, I was really happy with how I played. JP, another delightful opponent. I wouldn't say he probably got it quite right. So he went first. This is the only time I go second this entire weekend. He teleported his Transcendent Catan over to my natural expansion objective, shot into some 5 Strike Marines who were scouting forward, killed like 2, 1, whatever, and that was it. And then I'm like, right, okay, well, I guess I see if I could kill a Catan. So 3-inch Deep Strike the Paladins onto my natural expansion objective. Purifiers drop over kind of in between the 2 L's in my deployment zone. And I just fire everything into Ascendant Catan. 2 Dread Knights, Paladins, and the Storm Bolters and Flamers from the Purifiers. Killed it. Bosh, job done. He then moves 6 Wraiths from his natural expansion objective right out into the middle of the board to try and charge onto my home field. To get capture on the outpost, it's a 9-inch charge. Risky business, in my opinion. Failed the charge. I then teleport Paladins and Purifiers back over, and they all die. So at that point, we're in 2 turns in, and JP's like, I think I just have to hunker down now. I can't win this game. So fair play for him for realizing that. So then he just says, right, I'm just going to try and score my 10s. There's a really interesting position here because as a Grey Knights player, I'm now like, I now need to push. How do I push? So my play was, what I did was I 3-inch deep struck the Paladins right by his deployment zone. He'd screened off his actual home field, but I was able to land right next to the home field objective. Killed off everything on the objective. Then knowing that race would come over, that would trigger mists. So he triggers the mists, I then teleport. I then rapid ingress back down on the other side of the board, 9 inches away from his natural expansion objective, where his second unit of wraiths are. And they're currently raising that objective on turn 4. I then get to move forward 5, which gives me a 4-inch charge, and he doesn't reactive move because he wants to reactive move over the other side when my Dread Knights walk over there. So it gives me a 4-inch charge. Now, obviously, I then rolled double 1, and I had no CP to re-roll it. Those damn Paladins, man. So that was frustrating because if I get onto that objective and I kill some of the Wraiths, I then consolidate onto that objective. I could well take it off of him. I'd killed 2 Doomstalkers with my shooting. I've taken that off him, so that's a 5 less primary, and it's stopping him raising that objective. So actually, that's a bit more of a swing. Alas, it wasn't to be. And he held out for a 95-77. So I think it was a 13-7 win to me, but it could have been like a 15-5. And unfortunately, everything else from everyone else was pretty drawish. I think our Necrons player beat Guard 13-7, but our Wolves player just got moved blocked to high heaven by Admech and lost 14-6. Our CSM into their demons was a 10-10, and our green tie player kept trying to prove that he could beat Bully Boys. Lost 9-11. So we ended up 51-49 in that round. So it was a draw. So that sucked. That was really disappointing because we felt like we should have won that. We just didn't really pay attention to pairings. Took it a bit easy. So there we go. Here's what it is. Final round. Some guys, you might have heard of them, Vanguard Tactics, and they do the odd occasional YouTube video. So we paired into them, and pairings went as well as it could have. We got our Orcs into their Eldari, which is just a massive win. We got our Canoptek Court into their Sisters, which is a good game for the Canoptek Court. I drew the short straw of Black Templar, Ironstorm again, but I played it once before. I kind of knew the tricks. This time I was on a medium board, so I had a bit more defense. And our Space Wolves into their Thousand Suns, which we didn't really know how it went. And then our CSM into their Bully Boys, which we felt we could kill them on. So we felt really happy after pairings. In terms of my game, there were various points in this game where I felt I played so well. Like, I really felt like I was getting this list right. I was playing the game well. I gave myself a target of a 9-11, but you never know. Obviously, I went first, didn't really do anything, didn't score any cards, and then he moved forward. So this was his mistake. What he did was he moved, if you look at, so basically this is take and hold, right? So it's a hold 1, hold 2, hold 3. And I'm like, well, I've got to try and get 10 somewhere. So where are you trying to go to so that you can not get shot all the time? Well, the best bet, in my opinion, is turning it into a Dawn of War and taking the bottom right-hand objective. So that's the one I wanted to try and take. He had moved out a Vindicator in between those two little L's in the bottom right-hand corner. So I moved out my Paladins, shot into, got Overwatch, but fine, whatever. Shot into another tank, like, hurt it. Charged into the Vindicator, actually made the charge this time. Killed it and tagged some scouts. The idea, who were in the middle objective, the idea here being that I could then miss away when they fell back. I also put my 2 Dread Knights in the bottom right-hand corner, and they shot and killed another tank on the far right-hand side. And then the Strikes, who were in the middle of the board, charged into the tank on the middle objective, because I had area denial, and killed that as well, because it was already injured from my Paladin shooting. So I dropped 3 tanks, and I had 5 interceptors charged into the scouts in the top left-hand corner. So I put them down on a 5. They whiffed and didn't kill the 5 scouts, which was really annoying. They left 1 alive. But yeah, a really good turn. He then dropped 1 Dread Knight, and we had this interesting play where he triggered the mists on my Paladin, so they went up into reserve. I then rapid ingress them behind my middle small L, in such a way that they could then charge the tank, which was near my natural expansion up top left-hand corner objective. He shot everything else, and then went, right, I'm now going to shoot into your Paladins with my Reaper. And I'm like, I've still got Sigil here, which means I can basically land anywhere and not get shot. So I sigil them over to the far right-hand corner, or the far right-hand side of the board, where they're 9 inches away from a tank on his home field objective, threatening that. And here's where I have what potentially could have been an incredible turn, and in fact was not an incredible turn. Bottom right-hand corner, a Dread Knight charges in to this tank and leaves it on 1 wound. That's really, really annoying. I don't kill the 5 scouts that are on the middle objective. I don't get my target priority right. I kill like 2. The Dread Knight doesn't do very good shooting. The Terminators don't do very good shooting. It just all goes wrong. So that's given him an extra 5 on that. The Paladins then go and charge into this tank and do not kill it. Considering in later turns, like the Brother Captain and like 4 Paladins were killing a tank, the fact that a whole unit of Paladins did not kill a tank was incredibly annoying. I'd also done what I did in the previous game against Black Templars, was drop down my 10 purifiers to get Assassinate, kill his Calidus. This is where the game is shaped heavily, right? If the Paladins go in and kill that tank, they're now sat on his home field objective. That's denying 5 primary. He's then got a choice. Do I try and hurt the Paladins? Do I try and kill these purifiers? You can't do either. Bottom right hand corner, if my Dread Knight does kill his tank, then it means that Dread Knight then gets to survive. Instead, what happens is the tank that the Dread Knight almost killed kills the Dread Knight. The tank in combat with the Paladins kills like 5, and the rest of the shooting kills all 10 purifiers and Crow. And that's such a different proposition to me having a Dread Knight left and then either purifiers left or all the Paladins left. Like, it really changed the game. And it's not against all odds. It happens. Like, it's just frustrating, especially when you find out what happened in the rest of the round. But overall, I feel like I played this game reasonably well. I probably should have dealt with the scouts in the middle of the board better. But overall, I think I gave it a good go. And I won 75-59. So that was a 13-7 win. But yeah, I feel like it could have been more like an 18-2. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, the round itself didn't go well. Our Orc player failed a re-rolling 5-inch charge into the Eldar opponent's backfield to kill 10 Shadow Spectres, who then went and proceeded to pick up, in combination with other things, like 60 boys, which meant that 18-2 win became an 11-9 win, which was rubbish for us. Bully Boys lost to our CSM, but only 11-9. Paul did really well with Space Wolves to lose 12-8 to Thousand Suns. The issue was our Canoptic Court player, who I think had pushed a bit too much and been a bit too aggressive, he said. He also said he didn't play particularly well. But he lost 20-0 to Mr. Stephen Box and his sisters. And because of that, we lost around 57-43. 55 is a draw. So that was really frustrating because we outpaired them and we felt we should have won. But it is what it is. This time last year as a team, we'd never have considered ourselves being able to beat the team who played round 3 or Vanguard Tactics. So the fact that we were disappointed that we either lost or drew to them shows that we've come a long way as a team. So there we go. No idea how long that took. Hopefully quicker than last time. So in terms of how I felt it went, I played a lot better this time. As I said last time, I didn't play very well at Saffron Slam. I enjoyed the list, enjoyed the army, lots of tricks, had more stuff to do things with. Definitely got a lot better at managing CP as well. And this kind of really reinforced, like, know your role in teams. Really, you've got to. You just, like, I knew that I was probably going to get those rougher games. Like, if you look at my scores, I got an 11, a 9, an 8, a 13, and a 13. But I was really happy with those. And I think in teams you get some people, like, put it this way, I asked someone at teams, I go, how did you do? Some people go, well, we won or we lost. And some people go, oh, I played blah, blah, and I won. And I don't know, it's a personal thing, but for me, I don't really care how individuals do. I only care about how the team does. And that's the most important thing. That's why I love teams. So yeah, definitely knowing your role. There are a lot of Grey Knight armies out there who went for, like, all the vehicle stuff, which is terrifying to pair into, but you've got to get those big wins, haven't you? So how did I feel the list went? Well, it felt a good list. It did feel a good list. It was well rounded. I really liked it. Paladins. I really like the Psy Cannons. Tell you what, that Brother Captain was very helpful. I'm really glad I went for Brother Captain rather than Grandmaster, because those rerolls just really helps the output from him, especially when you're winning on 5s, and just the sustained as well. Oh, so good. Just really makes them a threatening unit, as they should be. 10 Paladins should be. I felt I had the right amount of chaff to do stuff with. Only in one game, the final game, was I like, one unit short here. Pagation Squad I wasn't sold on. I think in the list they're probably better as 5 interceptors, I think. think if you're going to run Purgation Marines, I think you want to run 2 or 3 units. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying that a one-of probably isn't effective enough to take that one-off, in my opinion. I really like the Purifiers. They were great. I'm not sold on the 5 Terminators. I just love having this one new 5-man unit, which is OC-15, and pretty durable. Durable enough that people don't bother trying to get into them. Maybe I didn't utilise them well enough, but a lot of the time I was just like, oh, what should I do with these guys? I'll just hold them off to the end of the game. Maybe I should have been more aggressive with them. Don't know. But for 210 points, that is, of course, a 3rd Dread Knight instead. So moving forward, I've had some ideas for list changes. They're not huge. It does revolve around the Terminators. So firstly, as I said, I think I probably do drop the Purgation Squad and take a 2nd unit of Interceptors. Because quite often the Interceptors were early on getting me a Storm Hostile or a Tempting Target or like whatever, and then they die. Then I don't have that move shoot ability later on. So there is that. But then what do I do about the Terminators? There's a couple of options. Either you can just go for a Dread Knight instead. That leaves me 15 points spare on the list, which is 20 points spare on the list, which feels bad. Or you could go like another unit of strikes, and then like something like Brother Captain Stern. I really want to try him out. So yeah, there's a few options, but I did actually really like the core of the list. So I did enjoy that. So updated matrix. I've changed the CSM to a 9. I think, new CSMs look pretty gross, but I would imagine it's still slightly drawish. I have also updated it. So Green Tide, I still believe is a loss. Bully Boys feels drawish, because you just kill all the chaff around it, and outside of the wire, they don't do anything. Ironstorm on a proper table, not a light board, I think is reasonable, so I've put that as a 12. And Necrons, I never felt in any sort of threat from Necrons, so I've put that as a 13. Okay, so I feel like those are reasonably accurate. So, future thoughts for singles. CSM and Orcs are coming, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to have an idea for them. Go and play against them. I can't recommend this enough. You can theory hammer as much as you like. Go get a game into CSM or Orcs just so you know how your profiles stack into theirs, however it goes. They pose completely different threats. Being able to take on 120 green type Orcs is very different to being able to kill Mega Knobs, which is very different to being able to deal with all the shooting and all the warp talents from CSM. So yeah, we're in an interesting time in the meta. It begs the question, do you put Drago in? I know lots of people have Drago anyway. For me, personally, as you see, I have an amazing ability to fail charges, so I'm not sold on Drago, but that's another option. I could just, in my list, I could just drop the Purgation Squad and put Drago in and latch him onto the 5 Terminators. That would then encourage me to be more aggressive with them, and it means I can take on demons a bit better. So I really do want to play into demons this weekend. So yeah, that's something to consider. I think probably does go in there, but I don't want him in there. So it is a tough one. I think this is the interesting point of Grey Knight lists at the moment. Despite not having many units in theory, actually there's so much decision making in this building phase. I'm really enjoying building Grey Knight lists at the moment, and I wish I could play more games to try out more lists really. I think you want to get the Purifiers in. Purifiers can drop without the Feel No Pain, drop a unit of 20 boys. With the Feel No Pain, masses they kill like 15 or something. So yeah, just Purifiers I think you're probably gonna need, and they are really good. They are really good. So yeah, as always, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this video, well, you'll never see the other video where I was half asleep. So hopefully this video has been enjoyable. Thank you for the people who came up and said hello at the weekend, said they've been enjoying watching the series. Great to meet you. As always, like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. We've got a Discord, guys. Over 300 members on our Discord. We want more Grey Knights players. So come on. And then next time, I'm going to do a little fun tier list, because we all have tier lists, in which I'm going to talk through the different Grey Knight stratagems, how I have been using them and different ideas on like how you could use them, and also how I rank them. I wonder what number one will be. Well, you'll have to come and watch to find out. But yeah, thank you very much, and see you soon. Take care.